Good morning, good morning.
Well, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, at this time we're going to present you with the program Good Morning, Comrade with Dr. Ralphie Gonsalves here on the Star 92.3 and 104.7. Don't forget the number to call to get interactive here is 534-7827. That's 534-7827. Good morning to you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, my dear sister. Good morning, Bling.
Good morning.
Good morning to all our comrades, our friends, our brothers, our sisters, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, at home and abroad. A special welcome to those who are here, all our visitors, including our brothers and sisters of our blessed country who are living overseas who have come home for the carnival. I'm very pleased to see many of you. I hope some of you are listening to this program of solidarity, a program of labor, a program of love. Walk on through the rain. Be in solidarity. Though your dreams may be tossed and strewn about, keep them. And you'll never walk alone. And walk on with fresh hope in your heart. And you'll never walk alone. You will never walk alone. Labor is here. The Comrade is here. We're in solidarity. Oh, yes. When we walk through the storm, and there's an NDP storm in government, mashing up the place. Hold your head up high, though. That's what I'm urging you. And don't be afraid of the dark which they have created in this country. And at the end of the storm, there'll be a golden sky. And labor will be there with you. And metaphorically, the sweet silver song of the lark, of the bird, the beautiful bird. Walk on. Walk on through the rain. Don't be afraid. Hold things together. Focus on your needs. Be disciplined. Show good neighborly love. Get a skill. Develop yourself. Get your education. Stay healthy. Love your neighbor. Be in solidarity, and you'll never walk alone. Special greeting to our brothers and sisters in Haiti and in Cuba and in Venezuela. Those who are suffering and marginalized, vulnerable, the poor all over the world. Uncertain times we're in. We need clear-sighted leadership and solidarity and love. And a better world is possible. Far better.
Never walk alone. Never walk.
We are off to a late start this morning. You know, usually I'm not late. I'm early in the studio. But some things came up this morning which delayed me out in the countryside, out in my area. and I want to apologize for my lateness, but I assure you it was not avoidable at all. It is unavoidable. But I'm here. And after this program, I have two back-to-back meetings, and then I have to get up back in Gos at 5 o'clock in time to do a Zoom program on a communications station, radio station, YouTube, on certain matters. I'll talk about that shortly. So it's a busy day, and tomorrow we have Parliament, and I'll talk about that a little while from now. Yesterday, those of you who move yourself over the internet and see what's happening, especially from our country, from our region, you would notice that in the morning, 10 o'clock our time, I did a radio YouTube interview with a television station with a station in Bermuda, radio TV communications unit in Bermuda. The program which they have called Territories Talk, to connect the British overseas territories, the territories at one level or the other of internal self-government, but under British colonialism still, including Bermuda. And they have this program going. My subject yesterday, they asked me to talk about, and what I was interviewed on, was regional integration and CARICOM, and how Bermuda can get more involved with CARICOM. They're an associate member. The interview was a member of Parliament, the Honourable Christopher Famous. They are doing a second interview today, as I've just indicated, at 5 o'clock our time, 6 o'clock Bermuda time. Also, but with another interviewer, but on the same theme of regional integration and CARICOM and some related issues. The Premier of Bermuda is doing a very good job in that political party. The deputy leader, deputy premier, is a man whose family roots come from Byre Hill. His name is Walter Roban, but he is retired now. Family to Handel Roban, the athlete. So the whole Roban clan at the top of Byre Hill. As you notice, I've been doing a fair amount of work on the road. I went to the UK, I went to Ghana. We have to do a lot of regional and international work in addition to our national work, which I'm doing. Today is the day when my friend and brother Philip Pierre, Prime Minister of St. Lucia, assumes the chairmanship of CARICOM. And on Sunday, they have the CARICOM opening on the heads of government meeting. I'm going to be in St. Lucia because the reparations group and the repair campaign with which I'm associated, they're having an event in St. Lucia on the 6th of July, on the Monday, which I will go and participate in. I know that Ol Busque, who is the coordinator of the reparations campaign over there and associated with the repair campaign, he is going to present a document from the repair campaign. I understand it to the Prime Minister. In the repair campaign, we have prepared documents for each country in CARICOM. Some are more advanced stage, and others are in draft about the issues and precise numbers which we'd be asking for in an intergenerational sense within the ambit of the revised 10-point plan, action plan for CARICOM. So I've been asked to come to that particular event, to go to that particular event. So I just fly in, do what I have to do, and come back out because I have a lot of work here doing on the ground. On July the 12th, I have to be in Trinidad. That's a Sunday. I'll go in on the Saturday, and come back out as soon as I could get a flight out. Hopefully no later than the Monday morning early, Monday the 13th early. But I'll be there to do an extensive interview in a series called History Makers, which is focused on distinguished African American and Caribbean personalities. The quote-unquote history makers, people who have been engaged in the making of history. Of course, ordinary people do make history, but there are some leaders who identify as particular history makers. Women in our Caribbean are history makers, you know. The men too. But I had to make the point that ordinary people also make history, but you know, history is not only about quote-unquote distinguished men and women, but they have a series. I've been advised that this American group, which is doing it, they've done interviews with a wide range of distinguished African Americans, including Barack Obama, the great poet, African American poet Maya Angelou, and others. And they're doing some work in Trinidad, and they asked me if I can come there, and so that they can also interview me there, and they double up because they're having a focal point there. So I will go and do that and come back fairly quickly. Naturally, anytime I go anywhere, I go and see my relevant political friends and other comrades. Tomorrow, the House of Assembly meets, and I will talk about a couple of matters shortly. I just want to address, as I always do, some preliminaries. You know, on Monday, after I left here, I went into town. After I left the studio up here at Star, I went into Kingston to do something, and I took the opportunity to walk the length and breadth. I had completed what I was doing. I got a message from my daughter that I need to buy Pampers for Sarai, doing my grandfatherly duties now. And the place which they have the Huggies, the number 5, those which fit at this stage, is a popular number and a popular brand. Korea is down by just below Little Tokyo there. They usually have them, but when I went there, they didn't have them. They asked them to check at the various outlets, but they had that in Arnottsville. So on my way out, I got there. But I left the vehicle parked up down and walked down now on Back Street and went across Melville Street, that by Salvation Army there, and went and go to Korea's. And then I walked back up on Bay Street, the whole length, and came back up where the vehicle was parked, near to Heritage Square area. And there's so many persons stopping me. Nationals and people from overseas, including Bajans and Trinidadians who are here. And lots of Vincentians. And those who come in tell me the place, people complaining that the place hard. And Vincentians on the road stopping me, minibus men, the drivers slowing down the vehicle, honking the horn and telling me, Comrade, thing hard. They balling now, they want you back. I say, well, whenever they're ready for me, I'm up at Gas, and the ULP is here. There are all kinds of issues. Something which touched me particularly. There's a young lady in her early 20s, maybe up to mid-20s perhaps. She had a child, a little boy with her, 7 years old, sorry. She stopped me and said she wanted to talk to me. When I looked at the young boy, I asked her if something was wrong with him because he looked a little disoriented. She said to me that he hadn't eaten since the morning, and this was about 2 o'clock. So I said, well, why is he not at school? The economic difficulties, the challenges. She doesn't have a job. She had dropped out of secondary school. She had reached 4th, 5th form. But she had been going to social welfare. And according to her, they're just spinning her around. And she says she has reached a stage that she's looking for somebody good to adopt her boy. So I tell her, no, don't go to that solution yet. We have to make sure that he gets the requisite support, social development. We had to work there. Gets the support, and she had to work also on herself in terms of her training. But the complaint that I get a lot, I mentioned this. Of course, I can't have cases like these come to me and I don't try in some way to do follow-ups and see how we can help. But my dear sister, what is paining me is the response of this mean-spirited government. It's as though they don't have a heart. And that is percolating down through the ministries to the public servants. And I'm urging the public servants who have to interface with the poor and the working people and the vulnerable, don't turn your back on them. Please, do not turn your back on them. I know some of you may have hurts, but we must be in a situation that because you have hurts people mustn't hurt others for no reason, no good reason whatsoever. I know some persons say, well, what about the father of the child? Well, I inquired about that, and the father is not. The mother don't even know where the father is. And he, in any case, hadn't been in the child's life. Her father is dead, and her mother is not in a situation to help either. So basically, if you think you have difficulties, There are others who have even some more problematic than you have. I'm going to get in touch with the Ministry of Social Welfare myself. And the permanent secretary can expect to get a call from me. Because these cases have to be dealt with urgently. You know, and I'm making this appeal across the whole swath of public servants, teachers, and everybody. We have to make our children paramount. Their interests are paramount. Their interests are supreme. And I know that mothers and fathers have to do their best. And we have to make sure that we have good mothers and fathers, these supportive mothers and fathers, and grandparents too. But the fact of the matter, people fall through the cracks. And nowadays, the pain is even greater than hitherto, than before. The suffering. And the prices are going crazy in the supermarket all over. Absolutely crazy. People have never seen it like this before. It's gone wild. I go to the supermarket too. So I know what I'm talking about. I never used to go to the supermarkets in this way when I was Prime Minister, but I used to, every single month, I used to get the list of commodities and see real life. And people are suffering. And we can't make children suffer. We have to make a very special effort. This morning I come in, I heard an announcement, I heard an advertisement on the radio about, I don't know if Kareem had on Star, where there was an announcement about the ministry asking for foster parents to come in to call, give you a number and address, and because they want more foster parents. So sometimes if even you don't have to go the way of adoption, maybe a foster parent for a particular period of time may be able to help. And one of the things which I want to raise in this discussion whilst I'm talking here, a few cases have come to my attention about parents interfacing with teachers and with the Ministry of Education. And I'm pleading with teachers. I'm pleading with the parents. I'm pleading with the officials at the Ministry of Education. Don't dig out special holes where you go and you're there and you're saying, well, you wrong and you right, and throw accusations at one another, who is responsible for this and who not responsible for that. I want you to just pause, and in all this toing and froing, just remember one thing: the interests of the child, those interests, if you want to put it in a composite way, the interest of the child is paramount. So if a parent is not behaving very well in relation to the child, the teacher can't give up. The Ministry of Education official can't just pass the buck. The child, the interest of the child is paramount, it's supreme. So that even if you find that the parent, if you're a teacher and you find that the parent is very difficult, and you have some parents who are real difficult, you know, and some who don't want to see reason. But that doesn't mean that the teacher has to lose sight of what is important here. Look past the difficult parent. Think about the interest of the child. And I'm pleading with the parents. Don't make everything a war zone. Work cooperatively with the teachers. And when matters go to the ministry and the complaints come, don't sit on them and don't take sides. Look for solutions relating to the paramount interest of the child. And don't throw your hand up in the air and say, well, the parent reported to a politician, the minister, and the minister sitting on it. If something is happening inside of the school, what business is that of a minister? That's a matter which has to be resolved between the parents, the teachers, the senior education officer responsible for the school, or even up to the chief education officer. All that the minister, if it comes to his attention, is to see what I'm saying. Sort the thing out within the framework that the interest of the child is paramount. And monitor it with that perspective. Not for you yourself to then sit on it, because you sit on it, you paralyze everybody. Everybody waiting on you to go make a decision. A minister to make a decision about that for. I'm talking about real cases, you know. I know the vast majority of parents and the vast majority of teachers and the vast majority of persons in my experience working in the Ministry of Education are good people and try to help. But sometimes when a difficult circumstance arises, they just throw their hand up in the air. You can't do that. You can't give up. You can't get weary yet. It's a child. And we have to look at the paramount interest of the child. I make that point there, and I'm making that same point in relation to those who go to social development for help. It's now remodeled social welfare. No. There's some attitudes in relation to the poor and the working people from the NDP government, which are mean and contemptuous, mean-spirited and contemptuous. And in fact, they are contemptible, these attitudes. It's as though the fault is the fault of the poor and the vulnerable. Well, don't go about pointing fingers like that. You have to help. The state has to be a force for good. The government has to be a force for good. And some people do fall through the cracks. And you can't say, well, listen, I pull myself up by my own bootstrap, why you can't do it too? Well, some people can and some people can't, and circumstances are different in different cases. But you always have to look for a way in which you can help and guide. Not to make people dependent. Ensure that people will be sustainable, self-sustaining. A young mother, young father, you have a child or children, well, You have to get skills. You have to look for the in ways in which you can maintain your child properly and provide the requisite supports. But people do need help. And the mean-spiritedness is such. Sometimes you get a class attitude, even sometimes with people who come from the poor. They feel themselves in a position. They look down on other people. You have to stop that if you're doing that. And I go back to the lotto, which I raised with last time. The National Lottery put out this thing about students for secondary school and community college that you could only apply if the household income, to get help, the household income has to be under $2,000 a month. Sister, you hear that? The household income, not the income of one person in the household, The household income. So I want to repeat, as you have in many cases, a mother and a father and a grown child who is working, young adult. 3 of them could be working for under $2,000 put together, And there is a secondary school child and a college student inside of the household. Tell me in God's holy name how those 3 persons could keep themselves on the $2,000 plus having somebody in the household going to secondary school and one going to primary school. Impossible. Huh? Even if the household income is $3,000 in that home, if you own your home, a little home, you got some debt on it. If you're paying rent, when you're done pay rent, and you have to have a modern facility of washing, a fridge, a stove, a TV. Coats, depend you, OT of singer Vera. You have those higher purchase payments to make. And then, if the children got one of the laptop or one of the tablet that my government gave them, you have to pay for the internet because they have home-based, school-based assessment things which they have to do from home. In fact, the exams, both in the school and for CPA and CXC and for college, part of it is school-based assessment. So you have to pay for these for the internet. And then they're the before you buy food, then there are the bills for water and especially electricity. And Friday, tell a whopper to people when he say you're going to put a cap on the a cap on the fuel surcharge. There's no cap on the fuel surcharge. None, absolutely none. That was a lie when he said it. He must have known it's a lie when he was saying it in the election campaign. But if it was only a wild promise, which he knew in his heart he couldn't fulfill, then a few weeks ago, he said they put in a cap on. Well, there's no cap. The fuel surcharge is still bareheaded. No cap depend there. Eh? Well, now even that the wind blow it off. You never put the cap on. Eh? The fuel surcharge, the head of it, bareheaded. You ain't got no covering, no cap. And it's going wild. And as I said before, the government has handled this matter very badly, and they haven't provided the necessary supports and subsidies for people. At the same time, cutting back on social safety nets, social welfare. And it comes from the top, austerity. I told you austerity is a bad and dangerous idea generally, and for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And that they want to go, the NDP has decided to go on an IMF program. They have gone on it as a matter of choice, not necessity. What they're doing is playing wrong. They talk about the deficit, the debt. Well, they're racking it up more. But they're spending on things which they ain't supposed to spend on. I want them to read this book, The Deficit, the Myth. How to Build a Better Economy. It just recently came out. Not too long ago. And I've gone through this subject many times on this program and in Parliament. And I'll talk more about it. What you have to do is to be enterprising to encourage growth and to have a good social safety net, and also to be prudent, be careful in spending. But there are some things which are necessary which you have to spend on. And when disaster strikes, the NDP seem that you must embrace DEATH. Eh? And I've said that the debt for St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been manageable and currently is manageable. But you have to grow the economy, which we were doing, and you have to have proper safety nets, and while at the same time get supports internationally and work through the regional integration movement. Be creative in your policies. We have been doing it, That's why people balling. Some who wanted a change, they regret it so much. They have buyer's remorse. They buy a pig in a bag. And that whole attitude of austerity and mean-spiritedness is seeping down. As I said on this program before, this fiscal austerity retrogressive transition program which they're talking about, fiscal austerity retrogressive, because it's going into a dead end. Because they said they're transitioning into a dead end. Fiscal austerity retrogressive, not progressive. Transition program, what I call the FART program. That's what the NDP implemented. Fiscal austerity, retrogressive, and transition not to progress but to a dead end. They call it, they begin first by telling you stabilization, fiscal consolidation. They're now saying, well, it's growth and stabilization, because they're trying to respond to my criticism. But we're doing, the economy ain't growing, and instead of stabilizing it, destabilizing the place. And people seeing it, and people feeling it, and they know it. And there's uncertainty because there's no clear leadership and guidance, no compelling developmental narrative. None whatsoever. None coming from the government. And the Comrade made managing the thing look so easy for 25 years. Them think it easy. Eh? I ain't ball, you know. They just start and they start to ball. Eh? They don't know what to do. There's a crisis of governance. The basodi. And the people can see it. And then they come with little trinkets to see if they could fool people. Things have no substance. What about the salary increase they say for the public servants? You're complaining that the nurse is under pressure. But the $500 a month I used to give the nurses, a supplemental income tax-free, do it for 2 years gone, renew it every year, you bring it to an end? The nurses, them saying the $2,000 you give, the so-called double salary which you were given, you remember that? It never happened. The bonus payment, they would have prefer you keep your $2,000 and give them the $500 a month, because $500 a month is $6,000 a year, and to get their salary increase, which Ralph promised for the year from January, which should have been about 5%. But they have defined a problem as being existential. That is to say, the debt to GDP ratio. And I've explained that over and over. There's no problem on the external account. And the external debt is only 16% of revenue, the external debt. And the external debt is $2.5 billion. They come into Parliament on tomorrow for permission to borrow $20 million. I have questions to raise, but I'm not against the borrowing of the $20 million US. It's something which we had organized from that source for $30 million. And it's cheap money. I don't see why you shouldn't have gone for the $30 million. But you'll hear me more about that tomorrow, chapter and verse. And I want people to listen. I only have 45 minutes to talk. But what I don't talk there, I will talk on the radio over and over so that people will hear me. And the time is coming nigh to rally everybody together and talk about many things. Let me. They're firing people. They fire people left, right, and center. People who are working in the agricultural area. People who are up at Rabaka Farms, down in Orange Hill area, up in Orange Hill, down in Dumbarton, Walilabu, Belmont, down North Leeward. I'd outlined in the budget that I didn't have enough money to keep the people. I outlined it. You say instead, no, you go prefer to put $600,000 to buy new vehicle for the Prime Minister, and $1.5 million to fix up the house. And the 1.5 ain't fixing up the house. Million can't fix up what they say they want to do. They want to remake it. And they say they're going to be only renting for 3 months. They rent, 7 months you still buy Keatboy house. We don't know how much you pay in a month, How much the government pay in a month. How much they pay in a month. We ain't hear that yet. You bring in a festival. I have no problem in you bringing CPL, the 7th, 8th, and 9th of August. But how much you paying them? How much you paying CPL? Eh? When we had our Emancipation Festival, cricket festival, we tell you how much we were paying and we know what we were affording. And they're trying to throw smoke in people's eye. And they're using what is which are things which have become part of the state media. Like for instance, Luke Boydem radio station on morning, the program there. The Eyewitness News. Well, they fix up Kenton. They send Kenton in Taiwan. I had no problem with that. You send Kenton to Taiwan to be ambassador, Kenton Chance. But look at Eyewitness News. Was biased before, is now Eyewitness News. And Luke Boy is so happy that he get the place down Annisville for next to nothing. We know the damage which was done down there. Yeah? To that facility. He said he was going to do it down he couldn't stop the party. He was going to do it down in Leeward, fix up down there, rent somewhere and so on. Pembroke era. But when I heard that, I said he will never do that because he wouldn't put in the investment there. He'd like to get a state facility and walk home as he just did there. He'd have people complain about what he provided, But Luke would have collected about $750,000. And I hear people complaining on the internet a lot, and on his radio station, he spent 3 minutes and say, well, we promise to see if next time we can do better and so on. And then lock off the radio, I hear nobody, you allow nobody call to complain. Yeah? So they're using the state media, these private media houses, bring them as part of the state media. And what the government is doing, they're trying to get 1 or 2 people eat a food now. Or eat more food. And the mouth is muzzled by the food it eats to live. But the ordinary man and woman in the country feeling the pressure. So when you fire these people, you fire the coordinators and the mobilizers from the YES program and others, non-pensionable workers, you fire them. Get rid of them. And I'm saying the move against the mobilizers and the coordinators of the YES program is clearly political. Because of the 30 of them, they only keep 2. And they're appointing NDP people in the place. So you put people on the breadline. You put the families and the children on the breadline. People building house have to stop house. They paying for land, they have to stop it. And when they pay for the land, you then go back and say you want to take away the land from them. It's wickedness. And the pressure is boiling. And Carnival will give a little pressure valve release. You have them pot. You know about them, my dear sister. When you want to do your meat, you put the pressure cooker. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You hear when it really pressure, you hear the pressure coming out. Sweet. You get the pressure coming out. Well, Carnival will give a certain release of the pressure. But I tell you, the pressure is real. And not too long from now, that kind of a pressure valve release ain't going to be there. And no amount of propaganda by Luke Bodem radio station on Eyewitness News or any other outlet going to stop the lid from blowing off of the pot because the pressure going to be too much. It's boiling. And when water boils to 100 degrees Celsius, it becomes steam and it start to blow. The pressure is in the country. The people know that. And the ruling politician, them hiding from people. Hiding. And then they will talk about this or that, throw a little red meat here and there for the internet crazies and others, and think that could help to run government. No. Look, my dear sister, the number of people, just tell persons, Bling had to go to a function, you'll come back a little later. The number of people who are crying out, the thing is hard to bear. Gao said many years ago, under the NDP government, he sing a song, this ya meat hard for boil. You like rock stone. This ya meat hard for boil. People are feeling pressure. You promise Friday, you promised people just a month ago that you will put a cap on gas, gasoline and diesel price. When you say it, I know you is either ignorant about the facts or you lying. I know it couldn't happen. And you heard me on the radio station about that. What I said is coming to pass. And you will see it going up more. I have a question on the other paper asking him how much money he owe Rubis and Saul from failing to act early and to deal with this thing in a particular measured manner. In 1 month, you could put on more than $5 on gas, on gasoline. Eh? In another country, the place locked down. People bawling. But because it's a new government now, some of our people are saying, some of them who vote, they start to realize they make a mistake. And they get into the point of blowing, of explosion. And it's because it's carnival season. The only bacchanal people want is carnival bacchanal. You know what I mean? No other kind of real bacchanal. But you might have a hangover on Wednesday morning. Eh? You might have a hangover on Wednesday morning. After Carnival Monday, the weekend on Carnival Monday and Tuesday. All I'm saying to people in this time, focus especially on your needs. Control the wants. Focus on the necessities. Because the NDP government running the country to the ground. Businessmen don't want to invest because there's uncertainty. And when our brothers and sisters, who we are happy to see who have come, and other visitors who come for Carnival from overseas, when they come and gone, the fundamentals of the dead situation for the economy and the society, those fundamentals remain. Of course, while you're under pressure, the man with H2O would be laughing all the way to the bank. I hear he didn't even have enough water. If you don't have enough water, H2O is about water. I didn't go, I hear about it. They had a good crowd, because they hype it well. Stick to your needs, Enjoy yourself, but stick to your needs. Those who come in with an extra $1 or $2, that's fine. Because the carnival mass men and women, the serious ones, them, and the calypsonians and the soca artists, they ain't getting the support what they used to get when we were in government, both from the government and from the lotto. Austerity has hit Carnival. Those who are coming from overseas and a handful of others in the country, the ones who are supporting the big fat them. And the big fat them, some of them will make good money. Some ain't going to make so much money. Meanwhile, the real fundamentals of Carnival under strain. Austerity hitting them too. It's a wrong and dangerous idea. No. This week, I tell you, people are coming to visit me at Gars in droves from all about. You are telling you, my dear sister, problems galore that people have. And those brothers and sisters who are overseas who have indicated they want to come and look for me, well, you're welcome to come and look for me. No. Tomorrow, we have Parliament. I want to urge persons to go on the Star FM. Facebook. There's an article called NDP's Constitution Bills Illegal Case Against Rewriting the Law Mid-Litigation. This is Star Radio editorial. It's a beautiful article. It outlines all the issues. And to show, and I want to repeat it, if the NDP wants to see trouble in this country, let it go through tomorrow with those bills. I tell them to shelve those bills, Remember last time, I said yesterday, on Monday, I talked about how when they didn't, when Friday got up towards the end of the Parliament at 8:30 on April the 21st, when the Speaker called in respect of the first of the two offensive bills, Representation of the People's Amendment Bill, and the Constitution Amendment Bill, where they're trying to use the Parliament, the majority in Parliament, to what is wrong to make it right, and to see if they can escape scrutiny by the court on an essential matter where by their own voluntary act, Friday and Bramble acquired citizenship of Canada, and in that regard put themselves under the allegiance, obedience, or adherence to a foreign power state, nearly Canada. They want to, that's a fundamental constitutional provision. They want to change it, and they want to change it retrospectively to save their skin. And it would not be allowed to happen. And what they're attempting to do is illegal, is wrong, is immoral, is undemocratic, is totalitarian. And while people letting off steam for Carnival, people have it in their head, because people go walk and chew gum, Yeah? You go walk and chew gum. But even the minutes, they didn't write down what happened, This is what the current minutes don't have anything like this, because after the passenger information and passenger name record bill was passed, the speaker said, the clerk said, item number 5, representation of the people bill, amendment bill. That's what item 5 was to come. Friday got up and he said, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have had a very long, productive day in the Honorable House, this Honorable House. And we recognize that there are 2 items on the bill. You mean the other paper. Our position is, Madam Speaker, these matters, that is to say, the 2 matters you're talking about, the Representation of the People Amendment Bill and the Constitution Amendment Bill. Friday said, our position is, Madam Speaker, these matters, they are very important, broadly important to the public discourse. He goes on, quote, I'm quoting him here now. This is Friday. We are intending to address these matters, the amendment of the Representation of the People Act and the Constitution of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in the way that we have put it in the draft legislation. These are our proposals, Madam Speaker. We wish to have, of course, broad and wide discussion of it, and so we invite that sort of engagement, and therefore, Madam Speaker, this matter we will not be proceeding any further now at this point until we have had these full responses from the public debate on these 2 very important matters. So as for now, Madam Speaker, I wish to move this Honourable House to stand adjourned sine die. And the adjournment was taken. But he said that he was going to have a public debate. These are their proposals. Where's the public debate? It happened among themselves. Because there has been public discussion on the issue, but nothing which is structured and organized. So I warn them, what they're doing is wrong. They want to step into the court, into a matter which it's self-serving for Bramble and Friday. When people ask, well, why you didn't go earlier against them? The interpretation, legal interpretation by the courts in more recent times has been illuminating. But more importantly, we didn't have the evidence. The punctual evidence, as you go say, on the street in Canary. We didn't have the evidence that he, Friday, and Bramble were Canadian citizens by their own volition. But we have it now. And that is why we had it on the day when they were nominated. And that's why we proceeded with these challenges. Luke Brown against Bramble and Carlos Williams against Friday. But tomorrow, naturally, I will raise this matter for as to why there was no mention of this by Friday in the minutes. So we have to have this included in the minutes. Of course, we will see whether they will include it in the minutes, but you can't. If you use whatever majority you have to do what you want to do in the House, people will hear about it, And the Commonwealth would hear about it. And the OS would hear about it. And CARICOM would hear about it. I'd written CARICOM already. And I want to hear what the church leaders and the trade unions and the business community, I want to hear what they're saying about it. The people on the ground are angry as to what they're doing in this regard. And I'm voicing the people's anger and the people's concern. Insofar as there's another bill which is coming, which is called, several bills, but I will only deal with two of them. Because the others, you'll hear me with them. The other one is the Loan Authorization Disaster Risk Management Development Policy Program Bill. This is where they're seeking to borrow $20 million from the OPEC fund for international development, OFID. But we had negotiated all this money before, and the terms are essentially the same. And this policy-based loan, we had already submitted everything to OFID, and they had agreed, the OPEC fund, they had agreed. And all in the bill itself, my dear sister, you will see in the schedule to the bill as to the matters which this loan will cover. The five prior actions under two pillars, 4 under one pillar and 1 under the various things to be done with the loan. And you'll hear me in more detail about that tomorrow. Everything here is what Camilo had written and what they had agreed on in this document which I have in my hand. Everything there. So when Friday came, the food was already on the plate. All you had to do is eat, except we had 30 million US. He say 20. You didn't want the full. You didn't want all the food and the dessert. You will need part. And we'll follow up the issues. This is all the work had been done here, no? All of it. And you hear they kicking up that they getting this loan from the OPEC fund. The work is done. I got the file here. And you'll hear me on that more tomorrow. Terms are almost identical. It's a soft loan. It's quite a soft loan. And the things we have to do, you should have taken the 30 million, not the 20. I don't know if they tell him that they would only lend him 20 and they were going to lend 30 to the ULP million US, or they say it's only 20 they want. We'll find out. But this is a soft loan, and should I go for the higher money? Like it's a policy-based loan, and we're able to spend it on matters which are connected to the issues. But wide berth, they would have had to spend over a wide range of items. No, all the prior actions for the loan which had to be done, we fulfill those prior actions. You hear me? Even in their own bill which they bring. If you think I am telling you the truth, you know, I don't dissemble on public policy. Look, the things here. Prior action 1. We call it this pillar. Strengthening resilience through regulatory disaster risk management and adaptation. And this pillar covers 5 prior actions. All the prior actions, and then the bill, what they bring it, you know, saying approval given for certain things, regulations in 2025. Published in February 2025, February 14, 2025. They weren't in power then. Number 2, prior action. Prior action 2, to deal with the National Comprehensive Disaster Management Policy. This is evidence in Cabinet Memorandum dated February 5th, 2025. Who was then in government? Eh? That's 2 prior actions, you know. 3rd, prior action to provide in respect of an updated National School Safety Policy, as evidenced by the government memorandum approving the said policy dated September the 25th, 2024. Was in government then. I tell you, the plate of food was there, you know. Eh? Prior action number 4. To improve policy and implementation of climate resilience. The borough has enabled, that's the government has enabled to establish governance arrangements and coordination mechanisms to enable information sharing and joint implementation across sectors through the updated nationally determined contribution 2020 to 2030, as evidenced by the Cabinet Memorandum approving the same, dated September the 4th, 2024. You see how long the plate of food prepare? Eh? In the negotiations for this. And pillar number 2, resilient fiscal management and transparency. That's how we formulated it too. And the prior action is in relation to the authorized representatives ministerial direction dated the 10th of February 2025, not 2026, you know. So everything which was done, you know. You hear me? You see, when they come with the braggadocio talk, lucky thing, we do our work properly. And you can see, when I talk generally just now, persons might have said, well, why Ralph won't give some details? Well, I'll give you some details now with the dates mentioned in their own bill. Not my bill, you know. To tell you all the work which was done. Because it's 30 we were going for. And then We shifted that money from the hospital and other things and brought it to the policy-based loan, for which we had these prior actions to do for it. And the work was done. I have everything in a special file. No. Leasing of government ports, of the cruise ship pair to global ports. I spoke about it last time. I didn't want to go back over it. Eyewitness News headline this morning. Gonsalves confirms ULP government was in talks to lease cruise ship port. Okay. That's a headline which you can put because we were in talks where they were making that proposal. Okay? Global ports. I talk about the 3 meetings. But then, Eyewitness News got the better of themselves. This is the first line in their story. Opposition leader Ralph Gonsalves has confirmed that the ULP government has held detailed discussions with global ports before it was voted out of office in November. Well, this is a distortion of what I said. What I actually said that we had 3 discussions, broadly conceptual nature, discussing, inquiring, and I said to them, well, now we have had these discussions. Would you please put down in precise terms in one document, even the form of what you think a draft agreement should look like, to send for us as a proposal? So we didn't agree on details. What I had said on Monday is that the devil is in the details. We didn't agree on any details. We have had several different sets of people come to us, and I outlined global ports, came to us, and we went to them. And we were having discussions. But don't take what you're doing as saying that we had agreed to what you are doing, because I don't know what you're doing. That's why I said the devil is in the details. I see they have a memorandum of understanding for 30 years to lease it. As I outlined, there are many, many details which you need to come to terms with. And the story went on to talk about the details I talked about, which you need to come to terms with, But they'll headline it in the first line of their thing that we had discussed in detail. There was a discussion, freewheeling, about many different options. I don't know how the people who write Eyewitness News, I hope Ian Kenton write that story from Japan, from Taiwan. Because he should understand better what I said if he had listened to it. I want persons. There's something I want to talk about if I have the time, but I want to give an opportunity for people to ask some questions. I think I talk enough to. Can I have if they have any questions which they pose on online, because I know some people prefer to type the questions in now.
No question yet.
No question yet.
But you can call us at 534-7827, 534-7827, or WhatsApp or straight call. That's 534-7827.
The WhatsApp and the straight call is the same number?
Yeah, because this line not working.
Or the other line not working?
Right, so.
Okay. Fine. Well, we need to sort that out. Well, I want some persons called me and said they liked the discussion which I opened up on mental health, following up on what Daniel Cummins, the minister, spoke about. And I was taking issue not with the substance. There were one or two things which were said which I corrected, like when it was said that there's no psychiatrist for 10 years. That's not true. And I outlined everything in that regard. I don't want to go over that. And I said that in modern psychiatry, the idea is to try and integrate mental health treatment overall in the overall health system, but very much so in the communities. And don't deal with it too much with institutionalizing people. That has been the trend. They're adopting what we have been doing, but they're revolutionizing it. But as always, let me just go back to the most recent of our estimates under the ULP 2025. And I want to turn to page 505, between 505 and 507, which deal with these pages. Give a status of what the 2024 key program actions are. You see, when we had completely reformed the budgetary process and how we presenting the estimates. So we will put in the ideas, the specific program actions that we want to do for the year, the budgetary year. And then we would also look at key performance and outcome indicators. So when we come to present the budget to Parliament for 2025, we would have had program actions in 2024. So we are reporting on what we said we were going to do on the program actions in 2024, in 2025. And then for 2025, we will have some key performance and outcome indicators. You understand? So that we put things in place in 24 and we report in 25 what we have done, and then broadly, and then for 2025 we say what are the key performance indicators and the outcome indicators. But I'm dealing now with the status of the 2024 things which we said. What did we say? Development of a mental health and psychosocial services policy strategic plan and action. And the comments for that is that it has been drafted and updated, and it will be submitted to the Cabinet for approval following multi-sectoral stakeholder sensitization meetings. Develop and implement a work mental health program. And this was reported on as the progress which we have made on that. This one, fully integrate mental health care into all levels of the healthcare system. And we reported what we did in that regard. Strengthen the mental health services through the enactment of the 2009 revised draft mental health legislation. They say efforts, the report on that was efforts to strengthen mental health services continue through the enactment of the 2009 draft mental health legislation. The drafting instructions for the revision of the Mental Health Act, which includes the establishment of Mental Health Review Board, has been completed and are now awaiting stakeholder consultation. You notice how we are doing it? Then, this one. Yes, let's go. Just let me say, what we are setting out in 2024 and 2025 is what they set out in 2026. And I can give you the references they make to things which we have done in the 2026 document, in their 2026 estimates. So it's not something new which they're doing. We were doing the new work, and they see aspects of it useful, so they continue in it, and that's fine with me. As I said on Monday. Hello, yes.
Hello.
Caller.
Morning, Comrade.
Morning.
Yeah. Question with regard to tomorrow's parliamentary meeting.
Yes.
Would any of the regional press, regional media, be in St. Vincent and available to be at tomorrow's meeting?
I don't know.
I'll hang up and listen.
I don't know if
the regional press.
Yes, I don't know if the regional press is going to be there, but I know the regional press is paying attention. So my short answer to you is that if the regional press is here covering Carnival and they hear about this, covering it, that's fine. But I know the regional press is paying attention because I know the regional press had come here for April 21st.
Hello?
Okay. Another
Hello?
caller?
Another one.
Yes. Thank you, my brother. I was just answering the earlier caller.
Yeah, good day.
Yes.
Yeah, good morning to you, my Prime Minister.
Good day, my
What
brother.
I want you to do, what I want you to do in your question, we need some answer about the plane that disappeared out of St. Louis Raiders.
Okay, well, the questions...
And the boat.
The questions had gone
Go
in.
ahead.
The questions had gone in before that incident. But we have spoken about it publicly. But go ahead. Tell me your view.
Yeah. Yeah, we need more clear information because nothing clear is put into the public estimation and through the international world because we are part of the world and things like that happening. And the Minister of Security is saying he knows how the plane is and what's going on, but we don't know. So we need accountability for that.
Well, Leacock...
We need to come to table. Go ahead.
Leacock is a fella who sometimes, well, very often, not just sometimes, he talks a lot, but he doesn't say much. And you're quite right. The government has questions to answer about whether from their own investigation locally, when the plane left Taiwan, if the police or customs had checked to see the plane, when the plane departed, what bags went on, bags went on, because if they have evidence that cocaine was loaded in Canawan,
yes,
they must say that they're carrying out investigations to see if the cocaine was loaded in Canawan. Or they have evidence that it was.
Yes.
Or evidence that it wasn't.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So you're quite right. And they will the international agencies with which we cooperate and through the regional security system and CARICOM impacts the implementation agency for crime and security, and in linking with for instance, the U.S. authorities and other international partners to know where the plane is and to speak to the issue so that there could be greater clarity.
Yes.
All right. So you I agree.
One more thing before I go. We want more definition about the port, about the leasing of the port. Well, because I could remember as a little boy in Trinidad when I could them lead to the base for America for 30 years, and keep on going up to now. It's still in Shagamas. That's why they give it the name Shagamas to the country, the CARICOM system. You understand?
Yes.
So, and after that, many government come and they run them out. So if you going to release the port, you understand, how long? And after we don't fight hard to
as I
maintain
say, the devil is in the details. No.
Yeah, yes.
I had explained last Monday that we had discussions with them, general discussions, and we had asked us for a document to be sent to us with precise proposals. And they did send that just before we left office. And as I had said, Antigua's arrangements with them, Antigua, the Prime Minister, they tell me that he's satisfied that they're doing all right. But I had inquired about St. Kitts too and also in Barbados, and I reported what I heard, what I was informed authoritatively about proposals in both cases.
Yeah.
So that, but global ports is a reputable entity. It has operated in other parts of the region. And the question is, the devil would be in the details. And we had a comprehensive plan for that whole area. The government has not outlined a comprehensive plan.
I don't make my comment. Go ahead.
No. And by having a memorandum of understanding and already say, you set the number of years at 30 years.
Yes.
But the details have not been worked out. We don't know the details. But why go for 30 years before you work out details? So, and I if you had heard me, and I don't want to go over those, which I dealt with on Monday, you could always go back, and it's on the Star Radio. You know, it's saved there, it's archived there, so you can find it.
Before I go, one more thing is 14-1. I want you must do this slogan like Williams. He say 1 from 10. 1 from 10, leave not. And the Federation must have to now be 14-1. And you come up powerful than them because they frighten them. Anytime you get up to speak, they frighten the street because why? You know? That's what I tell you. Or you believe it's something that you know. KNOW, you know what's going on. I'm wrong. And you read, you study, you write. And so when you get in Parliament, you ain't talking to anybody. You're talking about what you know. I know. Postal pronoun. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay then.
Okay. Now, as I was mentioning on the mental health issue, we had said that we would, in 2024, that we would reintegrate 25% of the inpatient population into communities by developing and implementing relevant social and rehabilitation programs. And we gave the comment on the progress which we made in that, and we made tremendous progress in that area in 2025. Now, we also said that we developed substance abuse initiative to enhance the quality of care for better patients' outcome through effective collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization and other agencies. And we explained what we had done in the year 2024. And then in 2025, we laid out the strategic priorities. We laid out at page 537, 538, the key program actions. This section on mental health. Yes. The key program actions. By the end of 2025, strengthen the coordination of management of mental health services by implementing structured management system, improving internal communication, and conducting quarterly reviews leading to an increase in service efficiency and outcomes. Strengthen the mental health service provision by December 2025 through the revision and implementation of at least one key policy law and improving governance with the goal of enhancing service delivery. And this important one, by the end of 2025, improve the integration of mental health into primary health care by training healthcare providers in mental health protocols, implementing mental health screening in primary health centers, and increasing diagnosis and treatment of mental health conditions. And those things were being done in 2025, which are things which they want to continue in 2026, and that's fine. And the same thing with information systems, which they want to continue to improve, which we have been doing. And what have they said in 2026? When you read their 2026 estimates at page 524, where their assessment now, I'm talking about the NDP government assessment as to what we did, which they brought to Parliament. Let me give you what they said. Give you what the NDP said, about page 524. Mental health services. This is what their comments are. The proposal for the reform of the mental health service was positively received by Cabinet, and the commitment made for the establishment of the post of Director of Mental Health Services as the administrative policy head. They said that they came to us and we accepted that, which is now reflected in their own plans. As part of the reform structure of the mental health service, a no-cost move of posts accounted for under health security was proposed and agreed by the Director of Health Security. Reporting and referral lines have been streamlined and channeled through the clinical psychologist acting in the capacity of Director of Mental Health Services. Goes on. This is what they're saying as to what we had done in relation to our things, in relation to our key program actions. The review. Here it is. The Mental Health and Psychosocial Services Policy Strategic Plan and Action Plan has been a revised policy and drafted and updated for 2023-2030 and submitted to the Ministry of Health Executive for Cabinet approval. The complete drafting instructions of the updated Mental Health Act has been submitted to the Office of the Attorney General. So all those things are there, which we have done, which they just now have to take to Parliament. You see what I mean? They themselves are saying this, as to what we did. And other items, they're there. Illustrating the point that I'm making, when they come and say this is revolutionary, they're going to revolutionize it. We have been carrying out the changes, the quote-unquote revolutionary changes, and they have been taking place, and staff there have been helpful in that regard. Now, when you go to look at page 561, 562 of the estimates, again dealing with mental health, about the key performance and outcome indicators. 561, let me read. Well, they made a big mistake because at the top, and they hadn't corrected this, key program actions for 2026. Strengthen laboratory quality management systems, restore, expand laboratory access, strengthen human resource capacity, upgrade and maintain equipment, enhance governance and regulation. Those are not related to mental health particularly. They are related to something else. But what they were supposed to put for mental health, they left it out. But they had listed the performance indicators, output indicators, which they plan to do. And and performance indicators, things which, if you look at our 2025, is almost a copy and a paste. I just want to put the record straight now, and to give the persons who call me, who ask me to talk a little bit more about it. And then, in our manifesto for 2025, at page 41, on mental health. So when they come in, they expect me, this one, to take all of them on, yeah? With the support of Kisel and Carlos. We're going to have a meeting with a follow-up meeting to discuss tomorrow. We had one already. And the other members of the party leadership who were not in parliament. We had several pages dealing with health in our manifesto. They didn't have a manifesto. Huh? Yeah, let me take the calls. Hello, good day.
Comrade, welcome back home. I didn't get to welcome you Wednesday because I had to rush off.
Thank you, my sister.
Welcome back. Yes. People, well, it have some comrades who call me. They tell me to let you know that the program that you're having on Mondays and Wednesday, they appreciate it very much because that's the only how they know that something is happening in this country. They say the NDP, they're not hearing nothing from them. They're just hiding.
They are hiding.
And nobody knowing anything. And they want to find out why is the Governor General and the Attorney General is bringing back that bill to Parliament. It is not right.
Well, it's not the Governor General. It's Friday, who is, and the cabinet as a whole, who bringing them back. But as I tell them, the people had eased off a little when Friday said on April the 21st that before you come back with anything, you want to have consultations with people, public discussion. Well, there's been none. There's been no consultation led by them.
Never come to the people. Never.
You see?
And we take the street,
so I waiting to see what will happen tomorrow.
We are not sitting down. We are not sitting down and make them push something down our throat,
So I don't give.
Wrong is wrong.
I don't express my opinion and give my warning. And I'm calling on all the entities in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Exactly.
And
it's not right.
Yes.
That is why the place is so hard.
The place is hard.
You're seeing people, but they have no money to spend.
God, let me tell you, on Monday I walked through the town. The number of people meet me complaining. The way people greeted me, you'd think I just win the election.
I'm telling you.
People calling me from other side of the road, from stores. You know what I mean? I can't take two step. And people ain't complaining and also greeting me. Yeah, you were saying, go ahead.
This thing, if it's one thing and the ULP government will be not make money, but now nothing is happening. They don't even know if carnival coming.
The place really dead.
It's not right.
The place really dead.
I don't know, like something like it. I don't know. Something is.
There's a bad spirit across the land.
Bad spirit.
Bad spirit. Bad spirit. And things dead.
And things dead.
Our brothers and sisters and a few other visitors, brothers and sisters from overseas, Vincentians, they come. and the visitors. And but no, that's the point. That's the point. And you notice, I want to find out, the government hasn't said it yet. Why is it that Delta stopped coming to St. Vincent? You have to read it. You have to read it in St. Vincent Times, where they see the announcement made by Delta. Why is the reason that Delta ain't coming? Is it because the arrangements which we left in place were not carried through? Is it because they owe Delta money on any revenue sharing thing? Is it because the route is not properly advertised? Well, if all those things, we can work together with the hotel industry and advertise the route better. But they ain't saying one single thing.
Nothing.
When Delta came, he behaved as though he bring Delta. I tell him no. Carlos had organized it. Carlos and Camilo had organized it. Carlos did the thing and Camilo did the other arrangements. With me providing advice.
People coming for Carnival, and they grabbing up like if last year we had a massive crowd coming for Carnival. They get to know like if it's only them alone bringing a crowd for Carnival from overseas.
One of the joke which I get
with them people, they're stuck in their brain.
Is that they apparently one or two persons went and welcomed some visitors who coming in.
If you don't put that out there,
but if you notice, the fellas put up on my page, last year we could do it for 2024 too. I was out there greeting people.
Yes, it's true.
Including entertainers who are coming in. But they have to explain about
dead. Just like the country dead.
And now, things really.
I am tired. I'm fed up with this with and the NDP government coming. I am tired and fed up.
Things really
trust
hard
me.
for people.
And it's not me alone. A lot of people saying it.
And wait until after Carnival, you're going to see how they're going to get some problem with the minibus man them. They wait until Carnival done.
At 7 days past there. We was chatting Friday in a business place, and he was talking about the fuel that gone up. He said if that was Comrade would take off. He would have let our people pay less. He said this man don't know what he is doing. Nothing.
You could increase gasoline in 1 month over what existed before by over $5 and diesel by $4 and something. In America, they increase fuel by 50 US cents, which is that dollar something, and Americans want to slaughter Trump.
You see?
It went up by $1. You're following it, $1 US, which is 270 US. They say, well, that's the end of he in the midterm elections, the Republican Party. But we gone $5 and change. EC, nearly $2 US. If you went up by $2 US in America, you'd have got riot on the road.
And same it's gone up by 5. Come on, we can't nobody in the vehicle, you know? Because the Rubens say less carriage, save gas. Because the more people are carrying, and more gas are burning. It's almost $20 of gas, you know?
I know that is $18 and change. And it increased, it was before the first increase at the end of last month, the end of May 29th. Gasoline was $13.22 a gallon. It is now $18.31. $5.09 more.
Wait until after Carnival.
That is it.
You go see them van drivers.
Diesel gone up by $4.97. Call it $5. per gallon more. That's where the bulk of the diesel them thing. The diesel, the minimum man them with diesel spending between $2,000 and $2,500 a month more on diesel. And some of them go spend more, depending on how active they are.
Oh Lord, Comrade, this country gone. It's gone. And what we have to do? We have to do what we have to do. And hold the meetings in we constituency and let's get things going here, because people can't take it anymore.
Absolutely.
It's pressure.
Absolutely.
Pressure. And Comrade, have a blessed day.
Thank
and
you.
As usual, give my little princess my hug for me, please.
I tell you, I was so happy on Monday to get 3 bag of plum rose. I thought the season, they finished. The season really lasts long this year.
Yes.
And I tell you, this morning I push she in she stroller in her pram, and give she 2 plum rose, a bigger one and a smaller one. No,
she loved that.
So she loved that while I push in see her, and with the breeze nice.
Yeah, the best video for the year.
The breeze
is she.
The breeze.
When she opening the door
yes.
for you.
Yes.
The best video.
Yes.
It's trending all over.
Yes.
That's my little girl.
Yeah,
that's mine.
And she like the bush. She like the bush, and to see the cattle them and the goat them and the dog them.
Okay.
And she and the farmers them, who, like when I walk in shout all in the morning, farmers them going to work, going to on their farm. They love hail she up, and she get to know them too. Is that nice?
That's nice. I'm coming soon for see ya.
All right. Is that nice?
Yes. Okay, Comrade. Have a blessed day.
Thank you.
We love you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Love you too. I was saying on the mental health in our manifesto in 2025. Reform the delivery of mental health care to focus on more preemptive and outpatient treatment, which is what you see we had in our budgets. The same point. Is it the work of others? And I'm hope the psychiatrist who is now reporting there, because the clinical psychologist, Dr. Alves, a young lady from my constituency, and the nurses out there and other staff doing good work. But the 20-something nurses who out there, with the $500 a month, which I used to give them. So those are the comments I want to make, and specifically in response to persons who call me and text me to say if I could say a little bit more on the mental health issue, which I did. Bling, it's good to see you back.
It was good.
It's good. It's now what? 10 past 12?
10 past 12?
Yes. And I began to take calls a little earlier. So now I want to ask, in the midst of all this, what is happening? Shafika Maloney is doing well, still doing well in her races.
She is.
I'm not hearing anything as to the support which government
It's given her.
giving. So the government must say what support that they have been given. I mean, the last bit of support just before we left office, which we had organized, was, as I recall it, I'm subject to correction. Camilo might remember it better, or Randy, who was the Minister of Sports.
Yes.
$15,000 US. I don't know whether the payment was actually made during the time when our term came to an end, or it went in going through the system and the actual transfer was done during the early days of the NDP, but didn't have anything to do with that. That was already in the works. And then I know that Flour Mill, ECGC, and Comrade had gotten into when she was going to the Olympics. But it's not only when she's in the final stretch going to the Olympics she needs help. She needs support on an ongoing basis.
Yep.
Because a professional athlete at that standard, not only for Shafika, but also for Handel, Roban, which we are dealing with. Though in the case of Handel was at a university and there were certain support systems which were there, which were not available to Shafika, who had already finished her university studies and was basically being full-time with this, so that we need to support our athletes. So I am it came to my notice when I was reading something recently about how well she performed at a particular event in Qatar, meet in Qatar. So I'm hoping that they're listening to me. Now, there's something which came out this morning in the Guardian newspaper in the United Kingdom. And I want to read it. Read part of it. The headline, The Guardian in the UK, they have a correspondent, a Caribbean correspondent, and the Caribbean correspondent was first in London and then in Jamaica, the Senator of Jamaica. And the name of that person is Natricia Duncan. She's a young lady from Mespo. She's a journalist with The Guardian. So there's a story. And The Guardian is a liberal newspaper in the UK, been doing a lot of good work dealing with reparations. And there's a story this morning, came out today, dated on Tuesday the 30th of June by Natricia Duncan. She said, the headline is, Jamaican delegation to travel to UK to lodge formal slavery reparations petition with King Charles. The visit to the monarch is planned for the 6th of September and will take Jamaica's mission for reparatory justice to the next level. Now, the day before, Oliver Grange, the culture minister in Jamaica, Olivia, confirmed that the trip was planned for the 6th of September and was intended to take Jamaica's mission for reparatory justice to the next level. The petition was first announced in June last year. Well, we had a prime ministerial subcommittee, which I'm a member, when I was prime minister. And the proposal had come there. They wanted CARICOM support, and we discussed it in depth. And then in July last year, at the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting, I urged that the CARICOM support this move by Jamaica. Some people in Jamaica say, well, they should have waited and take another tack. But there are a lot of support given for this petition. And they're asking King Charles to use his authority to request legal advice from the Judicial Committee of the London-based Privy Council, the final Court of Appeal for the UK overseas territories and some Commonwealth countries, including Jamaica, on whether the forced transportation of Africans to Jamaica was lawful, if it constituted a crime against humanity, and whether Britain was under obligation to provide restitution to Jamaica for slavery and its enduring consequences. And the request Natricia Duncan wrote in The Guardian, that they said the request is being made to King Charles, quote, in his capacity as head of state of Jamaica and for whom we expect protection, Green said, adding that the country had full support of CARICOM. And the 6th of September is a historic day because on this day in 1781, the Zong slave ship departed West Africa for Jamaica with 422 Africans who were enslaved. And throughout the journey, the ship ran into trouble and the captain kept throwing enslaved Africans overboard in order to claim insurance for loss of cargo. 140 of these persons who were enslaved were killed. The ship finally arrived at Black River in Jamaica on December the 12th, 1781. And this is all part and parcel of the work which Jamaica is doing, but within the context of the CARICOM Reparatory Commission. The Jamaica's Attorney General will go to the Privy Council supported by a legal team. And this is a very interesting approach which is being done to push the reparations campaign further. And there are many of us who are looking at, and this will come up to CARICOM in St. Lucia this month, this weekend here, starting Sunday, that whether a decision should be taken in parallel to make a move to the International Court of Justice to ask for an advisory opinion on this particular subject about reparations. Of course, the hands are strengthened because of the United Nations General Assembly resolution, which was passed overwhelmingly, declaring the slave trade and the enslavement of African bodies as the greatest crime against humanity. And as I point out all the time, reparations is an international human rights and justice issue, and within that context, it's for all persons who are interested in human rights and justice. And for us in the Caribbean, especially here, this quest for reparation is to repair the legacy of underdevelopment, which we source to native genocide, which is traced to native genocide and the enslavement of African bodies. And there's a 10-point plan, which has now been revised, and CARICOM, which has an infrastructure which was set up at my own origin in 2013 when I took the matter to CARICOM for it to be permanently on the agenda for CARICOM, supported by the CARICOM chair at the time, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and everybody. And we have made progress, but more progress still is to be done. But this is carrying the struggle a further plane. Look, there are going to be advances and there are going to be setbacks. But every time we have a setback, we turn that setback into an advance. But this is a big struggle. So I just want to put that matter and ask persons to look at the Guardian newspaper, the English newspaper, Guardian UK. Now, one other international issue which I'm urging CARICOM governments to support. Guyana has put forward its ambassador and former foreign minister, Caroline Burkett Rodriguez, to be a candidate to be elected as Secretary General of the United Nations. There are several candidates gone forward. I know one little difficulty, and I'm sure that Gaston would be able to do this. Nobody from CARICOM's name was going forward. And Gaston was supporting someone from Ecuador, who was once president of the General Assembly of the United Nations for a year. The candidacy of Caroline Burkett Rodriguez, the Guyanese lady, former foreign minister, I know her. I know the lady also, Gaston Guyana Antigua government had gone out front and supported Maria Espinosa of Ecuador. And she's a good person, and I'm not bad talking any of the other candidates whose name have come forward, but Caroline Burkett Rodriguez is a fantastic candidate. She is a magnificent human being. She's bright. She is I suspect if you leave it to the ambassadors when in New York, she's very popular with the ambassadors for good work. She led Guyana recently at the Security Council. Very experienced, very knowledgeable. I looked at the candidates, and I know all the candidates. Some more than others, but I know of the work of all of them. And I will strongly urge that the CARICOM government's line up behind Guyana's candidate. It's if CARICOM doesn't get it now, I don't know when in the next 50 years we're going to have a chance as good as this. So we have to strike the iron when it's hot. Of course, the permanent five, the P5, in the Security Council, USA, China, Russia, France, and Britain. They're important in this regard because they could sink the candidacy of somebody. Of course, the candidate needs support throughout. China has helpfully made it plain that on this occasion, they want to have a woman. They've never had a woman as Secretary General of the United Nations, and they want somebody from the Latin America and the Caribbean region. Well, there were other women from the Caribbean and Latin America region, including, as I just make, Maria Espinosa, the former president of Chile, Michelle Bachelet, whom I also know. I'm not going to bad talk anybody, but top draw is Caroline Burkett Rodriguez. The man who the Americans, I understand, may be supporting is an Argentinian. But there's a big campaign which is going on, and we have to look out for disinformation by countries who are supporting this side as against the other side. But this woman would have the respect. This Guyanese sister would have the respect of countries all over the world. And she would make changes at the United Nations. She's an outsider, but who knows the system. And she's in a good situation to effect changes and to strengthen the quest for peace, prosperity, security, and sustainable development for all persons, all peoples in the world. And we've never had a Caribbean candidate, and it'd be good to have one. I don't know if there's any other questions. I want to do an abbreviated one today because I want to go. I have 2 back-to-back meetings. But if the persons have any questions, I'm prepared to answer.
And they could call in as well.
Yes.
If they have any.
Now, I mentioned one book when you were out, Bling, which I read this, The Deficit Myth by Stephanie Kelton. Deficit Myth, How to Build a Better Economy. And the Financial Times reviewed it and said this book is going to be influential. This book was published in, I'll tell you when it was published, in 2021. And basically what it is saying is that there are a lot of people who talk about the deficit and they talk about debt to GDP. But you have to put these things in a context. In the case of America, the deficit on the current account is not a problem, or the overall deficit, because they print US dollars, which is the reserve currency in the world. But there are people who still talk about it there, the deficit and the debt to GDP.
Yep.
Some people want to manufacture a problem with that in America. Here, where our debt to GDP is 113%. I outlined the problem with the GDP metric. It's an absurd metric to be used in the measurement, and I've quoted several important authors on that subject already. And that what we have to do is to be enterprising, to go for growth, and at the same time be prudent as to how we are spending. I've quoted repeatedly this book by experienced Caribbean persons in this who stress the issue is what is happening on the external account. These authors said the prevailing use of debt to GDP ratios as indicators of fiscal sustainability is pernicious, because there is no correlation of the debt to GDP ratio with the risk of a balance of payments crisis. So fellas, there's a problem which is being manufactured by the NDP government. If you have, as everybody noticed, that we have the debt will go up if you have COVID, Sofre, and Beryl following one another, plus other things. The problem with the Ukraine war, the problem which is happening right now in the Middle East, all these will add to problems. But if you get monies which are very cheap, and the external extent of our debt, 2.5 billion, takes only 16% of our revenue. Where the problem is in terms of the revenue, is the domestic debt. But the domestic debt is not creating any balance of payment problem for you. So I just don't understand how they're proceeding. They're looking at this thing very narrowly, and they're creating big problems. This is an important book for I draw it to people's attention. There are others. There's this other book. Well, I finished reading this. I'm currently reading this one by Mariano Mazzucato. There are two books I'm reading by and Rosie Collington called The Big Con. How the consulting industry weakens our businesses, infantilizes our governments, turn our governments into infants, and warps away economies. There's her latest book, Mariana Mazzucato's book. There's one about the economics of the common good, which has just come out, which I'm also reading. I'm reading both of them together. But this one, when governments go and appoint consultants, you hear from them that well, the consultant say this, the consultant say that. And it's important to take into account what the consultants may say or do say. But you can't have government by consultancies, you know. You have to make your own judgments in accordance with your own circumstances.
Correct.
Somebody who reviewed this book for the Times of London, the author's point is that the great problem with the consulting business isn't so much one of corruption, but sometimes something else. Consultants have wielded their expertise to give the impression of being indispensable. This is a rallying call for these companies and governments. This person who reviewed this book in the Lancet said, compelling, this book is compelling, examines how this astonishing global rise in consultancy services came about. The confidence trick arises from the ability to create an impression of value. Mazzucato and Collington are ready with what needs to be done. A new vision for the civil service, invest in the internal government capacity and capability creation, embed learning and evaluation into contracts, and mandate transparency and exposure of conflicting interests. So, I mean, not all consultancies are problematic, but they're quite right to address it. And they call it the big con. That you have to be careful who you get as consultants. And government, while you listen to consultants, and you have to follow advice, is important. Remember, you notice I say that this government has brought in some foreign consultants, some consultants outside of the civil service. But I don't know how much value they are added compared to what can have it in the civil service. And one of the points they make is that you have to use the talent which you have in the civil service and invest in the internal government capacity. We have been doing that for the people inside to have capacity and to have time to take off to go and study, do this. You take, for instance, we could have had a consultant come and pay him large sums of money to review our tax system in relation to the import duties on vehicles and tie it with environmental issues. But we didn't do that. He's one of our young, bright scholars, or national scholars trained at UWI, Ansel Latchman, who made the proposal, who wrote up the thing, studied it, brought it to us. You know, I reviewed it. Other people internally reviewed it. I tell them take it also to the opposition to show them. Made a presentation, we refined it and so on, and finally we brought it into law. There may be areas in which you need to fine-tune, but that's one area where you can, because he's very good on data and how to see the connections between different types of data and how to find solutions. I'm not making the case against consultants, because consultants have their utility, but you can't pass out government to consultants. A consultant tell you this and you must take it as gospel. Or somebody, you ask some consultants to help you to assess people, to appoint people and so on. You take their views into account and what they have done, and you do you work with them. But at the same time, we have to be very careful that we don't make our public service look as though they're an stand by, and a lot of the consultants come talk to the public servants and then go and write up their consultancy reports. Some of them, as I say, are pretty good. So you have to be very careful in this particular area. And I notice you may have a consultant on general economics, development economics. Unless that consultant involve himself in knowing and understanding how an economy like this hangs together, he can give you bad advice.
Yep.
Similarly, a man who is a consultant in general economics or general development economics do understand the fiscal situation in a country, the details, how you manage it. Talk to people like Morris Edwards. Talk to people like Edmund Jackson. People who have been in the belly of the beast. Talk to other directors general of finance and planning and get their brain. Talk to other economists who go around and study all of these and other small islands in other parts of the world. And we learn from one another experiences. But you have some consultants which come to you with some ideas. I've met them. I said, which world you live in? You don't understand our situation. So you have to use your creative juices, you know. You have to use your brain.
Okay, I have Kristen.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Comrade. With the community college students who pass 5 subjects, either math or English, will get their $500 because the students is wondering if they will get it. Please, thanks for your information ahead. They're all wondering and worried.
I really don't know if they're going to pay it.
Oh boy.
I don't know if they're going to pay it because their position on it, when they're in opposition,
yes,
is that they're not against it, but we shouldn't ask the NIS to pay it. But what I explain all the time about it, this wasn't paid from the NIS contributions per se. This was paid from monies which had accumulated for the Provident Fund. And some of that money from the Provident Fund, some people have gone to their grave without getting the Provident Fund money. Some people, the record keeping then wasn't what it is now. And you had gaps and you have problems. So that I saw this as a possible area. Of course, they pay out still for people with Provident Fund monies, but the payout is getting less and less, and it is an area in which you could encourage people to people do well, and as an incentive now to our young students. Yes. With the 5 subjects, including English and maths at CXC and the Cape, the 2 subjects plus the 2 subjects plus the communication studies and other comparable measures for those who do the associate degrees. And the people are complaining, people are uncertain as to what's going to happen with all the range of scholarships. I said that in the budget, they didn't increase the amount of money because we have been increasing the money every year for scholarships for students going to university. But they didn't increase it this year. But you can increase the money and have it in the estimate. You can keep the same money and have it in the estimates. But yet, because you're carrying out a program of austerity, you decide to use all kind of different measures that you don't have to spend the money. You see where I'm coming from? So that instead of spending 30 million, you might spend 20. And who would suffer? The students.
Yep.
Look, there's a lot of pain and suffering which is going on now, and a lot more awaits the young, the middle-aged, the old. The government is just too mean-spirited. And there's a wicked streak in them, an anti-poor people streak in them. They're against poor people. You see what they do? They come and do a flash for election purposes. 2000, well, the double bubble, they didn't deliver it. $2,000, but the $500 a month the nurses used to get, you take that away from them. You start to cut back on the extent of public assistance, the number of people who get public assistance, even though you increase it from $360 to $500. But you don't address the issue of the minimum pensioners. I don't address at the NIS now. You don't address, which is much less than the $500. You don't address the increase for the public servants and teachers and police and the like. I am pressure building up here, and you feel it. You feel it. It's too widespread, and people who have supported the NDP are talking about it.
Yeah.
And what they want to do, how they want to cut back on helping people, children, go in secondary school and community college from the NIS. It's a terrible thing. And every single week I will talk about it until they change their policy in that regard. It's just too difficult for poor people. You're gonna find a number of students dropping out, from college, from community college and from secondary school because they can't get the help from the lotto. So that's it for today.
Well,
okay, go ahead.
Question coming out of Canawan, concerning the recent shooting of the Scottish citizen. Some online newspaper has reported that 2 locals are in custody. Do you have any facts on?
No, I'm not going to. I hear all kind of things like other people about what transpired in Canawan. Canawan, like the Grenadines as a whole, is part of a soft underbelly of security concerns for the country. And I used to pay special attention to it. You have to quietly and very assuredly pay attention to it. Otherwise, matters there could get out of hand from a security standpoint. And you have to make sure that you have reliable people on Canawan addressing the issues of security. That is to say, the police. I know you have an excellent person who is in charge of the police now in Canawan. You had before, but you have also, now I know you also have an excellent one. You have to make sure the customs and immigration officers are very reliable and that there are systems in place to make all the relevant checks and for intelligence gathering. And you have to be very, very astute and careful in what is in probing what is taking place. And I'm not talking about people. I'm not talking about people from Canawan, I'm talking about other people. I'm talking just about Vincentians, I'm talking about other people. And it's not proper for me to comment on the actual issue about the murder, except to say that what we have now, the homicide. The homicide now is 20 or 21 we have reached.
20, 20, 20,
you know, it's that's half. That's half of last year, and what you have in the second half of the year, in the last several years, you have had more homicides in the second half than in the first half. I hope and pray that is not the case this year. 20 persons who have died as a consequence of homicides, 20 persons too many.
Yep.
So that's my comment and my advice.
Let's take a call. One
Yes.
call. Here we go. Go right ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello. Coming back one more time. What I'd like to know, you call on the NDP government to help Cuba and help Venezuela. Up to now, you haven't heard say anything. I want to know what help.
All that they have done, they have issued a verbal statement.
What have they contributed to Venezuela and Cuba?
No,
they were so good to us.
No information.
And now, the rain no fall on one man house. We was in that situation before.
Well, I will
and they help us.
They help us
and
a
now,
lot.
in there too, I want to know what help they're going to give.
We all
to
want
Cuba,
to. We all.
Cuban and Venezuela.
And they haven't said that the $100,000 US which they want to send to Cuba several months ago, but they have sent it. I haven't heard that they have sent it. And if they had sent it, there would have been a notice that they have sent it. I mean, it's cruel to say you're going to send money to the Cubans and then you don't send it.
Questions are coming in. Can we see the hospital at Arnisville, Modernport and AIA get sold by the new government with the lot of land at the new hospital as well?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to get people to buy into, including non-Vincentians, to buy into the ownership of the port. I wouldn't be surprised if they get a foreign entity to manage the Argyle International Airport. They will introduce measures, I'm telling you, to put the burden of the health services more on the pockets directly of health consumers. Charge more for health services. They'll want to institute a national health insurance, which is not going to have a wide menu of products which people are getting free now, but you'll have to pay for them through an insurance system, so that they take that off the books, off the government books. You don't necessarily get a better service, but you don't spend as much money from the central government. You take more money out of your pocket to put towards the insurance. All of that will bring pressure upon poor people more and more. That's all of that, under the pretense of modernizing, which is just, as I say, pure fogging people eye. Fogging people eye. But they have made it plain, and the IMF has said to them, privatize operations. They might want to privatize the bank completely. And we having 63% of the shares. They probably want to privatize that. Probably want to privatize Vinlec. To see if they could get. You see, what they would do, they would go to sell off or sell off our assets, and then or get foreign management to manage them. Not just a foreign manager. I ain't talking about a foreign manager, but foreign management. Because that is the the modus operandi of people who go in for austerity. More and more you will see it, and it will, each one of them, they will seek to justify it. But it comes from one source. Austerity and the belief that if you have the most rapid dose of private enterprise, that is what's going to solve the problems. The private enterprise, you have your place, the cooperative sector got the place, but the government, the state in the Caribbean, since the 1930s, as it has evolved, and certainly since independence, has been a force for good in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Another question. Have you been in contact with the ambassador from St. Vincent to Venezuela?
No, but I've been in contact with somebody who has been in contact with him, and I understand that he's safe.
Okay. From my end, that's all the questions I'm seeing here, and from the Facebook Live as well. That's all the questions I'm seeing.
Well, we have had quite an interactive program today. We had a good program, and on Monday, I will be. Monday is the 6th.
6th, yes.
I'm hopeful that I'll be back in time from St. Lucia for the morning. If I'm not, I will indicate whether somebody else will do the program for me. But Bling, the Unity Labour Party and its leadership, in addition to all the work which we are doing nationally, on the ground, on the airwaves, we have to do the work in Parliament, through the formal institutions, and we have to do the work regionally, and we have to do the work globally. That is the world in which we live. The way in which I functioned as Prime Minister and appreciated all of these things, it's the same concept, the same idea which you have to function as in the opposition, to bring everything together. Fortunately, because I'd been Prime Minister for so many years, and because of my background, experience, and connections, I have a facility to do all of these things together. And I'm noticing that the other leaders within the ULP are doing that, and they're reaching out more and more, and all of that pleases me greatly. I'm confident that the people will turn to the ULP again pretty soon.
Pretty soon. And remember, Mondays is a holiday. That's Carnival Monday. Oh, yes,
Monday is a holiday. So there's no program on Monday. That's true. Thanks for reminding me. The following Monday, well, I'll be here naturally on the Wednesday after Carnival. But on Monday the 13th, I'll be coming back from Trinidad at 9:10. But I should be reaching in the studio in time for 10 o'clock.
Okay. Or even a little after 10 would be good as well.
I have something. I was talked about something which I have to do in Trinidad. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
And you're welcome. And one person had sent in a question.
Tell me.
They were asking about the bridge in country, the one that got stopped over North Windward. I was seeking to get some information before I commented. Look, when the World Bank stops a project, there are all kind of reasons. It could be problems between the government and the contractor, the government and the consultant, the consultant and the contractor, the government and the World Bank.
but there has been just silence.
Practically everything.
Silence on a matter like that. Could you imagine? We started that project, you know. The project was going along well. Then all of a sudden, you mean to tell me, we brought Delta gone. We have that project there. World Bank suspended. I mean, where is the active leadership? Sandel should have done start. It might start now in 2028, 2029. I'm talking about beaches.
Yes.
I mean, leadership matters, you know, leadership counts. That is the evidence which is before us. And this austerity program, making it hard for poor people, for working people, for the country as a whole, business dead. I mean, it's painful, it's painful, it's painful. God bless, but we stay in solidarity with one another.
Okay.
Will you walk through a storm? Hold your head up high and don't be afraid.